I'm going to talk about Google Docs and Google Slides, some of the basics and then some of the advanced stuff. So we're going to go over Google Docs. I've got a bunch of places you can go for templates, Google Slides, and some ways you can use them, and then some templates that you can use. There are a lot of really cool templates out there that are free to use, and then you can get inspired, but you can also save yourself some of the work that you are going to do. So I'm going to go over how to add fonts, how to add drawings, what the Explore tool is and how to use it. That's a pretty great feature of the Google Suite. Assignments and comments, I think that's a pretty powerful collaboration tool in the Google Suite. How to insert a table of contents, how to check version history. If you're working with a lot of rather tricky kids, you can see who's done what. And if you've shared a doc and somebody deletes part of it by mistake, you can save it, you can rescue it. And then voice typing, and a bug that we've found, Olivia Brown actually pointed it out, and how to get around that. So I'm going to close my presentation. If you don't know how to get to your Google Docs, if you have Chrome open, you can open a new tab, and then we call this the waffle. Over here is all your apps. And Google Docs is here, and this will take you to all of your Google Docs, all the ones that you have, and then some templates up here. To save you some time, if you go to a new tab and you type docs.new, it will open a new document for you, a fresh one, and you save yourself some steps.
This is linked directly into your Drive. You're opening a new one, but it's already right there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So we've got a new doc here, and you have all your basic fonts. But if you've never noticed before, there's more fonts. If you're like making newsletters or cool designs, there's all sorts of stuff you can add. I've been doing some like Halloween themed stuff. So I was looking for some kind of like spooky. I like this one. So when you check it, when you've added it, it'll be checked, and then you say, okay. And then it's added to your list here. So you can have all kinds more options. Graduate's a great one for here in school. That looks really great. And to change the color of our text, we'd go here. There's nice blues, but we can also create custom colors and move around in here until we get one we like. And then in this document, that custom color will be here on this list. So we can keep using it over and over. Some other things, some other basics. You can change the size of your page by going to File and Page Setup. You can do Portrait and Landscape. You can change the size here. I change the margins pretty often so that I have more space to work in if I'm making a newsletter or something more graphic. I usually do like 0.25. So you can just type this in. And if you're going to send out like a digital newsletter, you can change the color of the whole page here. I'm going to do blue. So now my page color has changed. I wouldn't do that if you're going to print it. But if it's just going to be something that lives on the computer and you share with your kids, this is a cool way to make it a little bit special. So you can add drawings to Google Docs. If you go to Insert and Drawing is a really cool Google tool. This afternoon, it's one of the virtual work sessions I'm going to talk about. So if I wanted to add something for like congrats graduates, I'm going to make a text box, but that doesn't look that exciting. So I can also add word art here. And then I can get into the customization. I can go use those cool fonts. I can go change the colors and make it match our school colors. So this becomes a drawing, and it works the same way an image does in your document. So you get the same fit options. If you had a whole bunch of text, this is how it fits in here. We can do it's lined up with your text. We can do kind of like a newspaper picture where the text fits around it. We can have it break your text and make a stop. And recently they added behind the text and in front of the text, so it can go on top and block your text, or behind and your text can go on top of it. And those are kind of new and kind of like pretty exciting if you're into the graphic design of it. So drawings can also be, I'm going to insert a new one, insert a drawing. and a new one. This is a cool way you can add diagrams. So I'm going to just whip up a quick Venn diagram. Make another circle, and we'll make these transparent. So I have these selected, and I'm going to make them transparent so there's no color inside. And we got to have our middle piece a little bit bigger. We'll save this, and then it will become part of our document. And you can continue to edit it if you put it in here and you're like, oh, that's not quite right. But drawings are a really cool way to add custom diagrams, thought mapping, even just fun visuals to a Google Doc. The Explore tool is really powerful, especially if you're working with students in the classroom. Over here, you have kind of a dashboard, but if you scroll down on your doc here, and if I go down to the bottom corner here, this is in all of the Google Docs, all of the different apps is an Explore tool, and it does different things. So if I click on this, it's going to make some predictions about what my document is about. It's going to take those words and try and figure out what I need. It knows that the word pumpkin's in here. It knows that the word spice is in here. So it's already tried to find me some images I might use. And these images are labeled for reuse. They're in the public domain. Then it gives me some web search stuff, but I'm not seeing what I want. So I can say, I'm going to look for, so now I have some different options. I can search the web, I can search for images, and I can search my own drive. And the drive feature is really powerful if you're trying to make a hyperdoc. You can give your kiddos this one document with links to other things that you expect them to read or to work on. And I see, a description of a jack-o'-lantern. So let's say I'm doing research, and I'm going to copy this and I'm going to drop it into my document here. And these quotation marks will give me a citation at the bottom of my page. They create a little footnote for me and help citation go a lot smoother. So assignments and comments. This is all about collaboration. If this is just a place header and I'm working with Jeff, we're working on a newsletter, I'm going to add a comment, and let me close this up for us. Comment or add others with the @ symbol. So if I do @, it brings up a bunch of my common contacts. So I'm going to assign this to Jeff here. I'm going to assign this to Jeff, hit assign. Well, first I'm going to say, and that assigns this to Jeff. He's going to get an email to let him know that this is his assignment now. I'm asking him to take care of this. And it's going to ask me if I want to share it. Yep, sounds good. I can also just add a comment like, I don't think I like add that comment, and Jeff can come in and he can be like, no, I think it's fine. And if he marks that as resolved, no worries, the comment will go away. Version history. This document isn't going to have a lot, but we can kind of talk about how it works. If you go to File and Version History and see Version History, over here you can see the number of edits that have been made, and it's just a history of the document. If this was something I had shared with other people and they had worked on it, they'd be in another color, and I could click on the versions. So this was my first version. There was nothing on it. I had made the document. And then later, I made all these changes, and they're labeled with my name. They're in my color. If you had a document and you shared it with a bunch of other people, maybe somebody deleted the picture by mistake, you can open up your version history and restore the version with the image. It can help you recover a lot of information. I've had maybe a behavior plan was shared through a bunch of ed techs, and somebody, deleted some of the text by mistake, but we were able to recover it by restoring a previous version. So it's a great way to save your information. Voice typing. You can, if we back out here under tools, you and your students can type with your voice. You can dictate to the machine whatever text you want to add. On the iPads, we've found that when they start dictation, everything is typing fine. But when they hit the microphone to close dictation, it's erasing the end of whatever they're writing. And for whatever reason, it's just a bug. If you tap anywhere else on the screen to close dictation, it's fine. But if you hit the microphone to end it, it erases the last couple words. So it's just a bug, but something to be aware of if you have students that, use dictation, and that could be really frustrating, but it seems like there's a way to work around it. So we're gonna make this into a heading and this into a subheading. Heading 2. So if we go and insert that table of contents again, insert table of contents with our blue links. There we go. Here's our table of contents. So if this was on the 3rd page, we'd be able to come in here, click that link, and it would take us right to that section of the document. So this is really great if you're writing up a lesson plan or an IEP. It makes the pieces of your document places that you can go directly to. So that can be really handy. Probably the last thing to talk about is sharing options. You have to name it before you share it. Save that name. So right now, because I added an assignment for Jeff, he can comment, and I want him to be an editor, so I can just change this, and then I save my change. If you're dealing with confidential documents, I probably would stick to just people who the document is shared with. That's probably the best way to go. And you can let people view documents, and then they won't be able to make any changes, but they can see the information and they'll have that. You can make it so that they can make comments, so they can't change the information, but they can, leave feedback. And then the last one is you can make people editors. So that's more collaborative. You're working on it together and putting information in at the same time. Next, there are a bunch of different ways you can use docs. Like that was just the bare minimum, scraping the surface. Hyperdocs are really cool. That is when you have a doc and you link out to different resources, different docs. It's almost like a landing page, and then it can take you a bunch of different places. You can use them for newsletters with images and text and word art. You can build a resume in there, agendas, reports. You can create custom classroom templates. You can actually make calendars in Google Docs too. There are a bunch of templates for that. This is an example of a hyperdoc. I'm going to take you here. So what they did is they gave us these placeholders, and they kind of mapped out what we would add. So the first piece is where you might put a video, and then maybe you add text or a GIF. So all of these spaces would link out to something else that the kids can interact with. And because it's in Google Docs, it's saved. You can share it with all your kiddos. You can make a copy for each kid. There's a great article on how to do it. And then a template you can use. So I'm going to say make a copy. So all of this stuff is editable. You can change your colors and your fonts and make this a resource for your kids. I think this is really cool, especially with special education students. A Rebus story. I hadn't really heard of this before. There's a whole article, but basically you provide the emojis and then they fill in the story. So instead of, my family, they use the little image. And I think it could be really cool to see how they use the images, like what they choose to represent. There's been some research that I think is really cool. Like little kids, they send like animals and hearts as like, I love you, as a really positive message. And then as they get older, they start to choose more specific emojis. It's just a really cool article. I think emojis as a language is a really interesting topic of study. But this could be really fun and really cool to do with your kiddos. So, Google Slides. If Google Docs is all about text, Google Slides is really more about design and information. So we're going to hit on the basics, like how do you edit your slides? How do you add those fonts, insert your images? It really is a pretty powerful graphic tool. I think one of the most powerful things about it is your ability to link things. You can also see up here that you can add audio, and I think that that is really underused. So I'm going to play this for a second. So you become the audio of the slide. So if you're not able to be there with your kid to present, they can still hear you and hear that information. Kids can insert this. So I'll go over how to do that. So to edit the master slide, the reason you would do that is if you want to create a slideshow and have elements that people can't change, if you wanted to create a master slideshow and share it with your kids to work on, you can edit things on the master that the kids won't be able to change. And that might not make sense yet, but I'll show you some reasons that that's really cool. So to edit your master slide, you go to View and Theme Builder. And in here is where you can make those edits that change the whole presentation. Like if you set up the text in here, you're not going to have to do it on every slide. So here I made my font Roboto. So each new slide that I create, Roboto is going to be the font for the major titles. And then my subtitles are going to be Open Sans because that's how I set it up. I set up my colors. If I wanted to change them, I can go to the background.
Question. So in that first slide, you're using Roboto for the font. I see you have other slides already established. So will that trickle down, or it only works when you're creating new ones after you've set the font?
It works. The other ones you see are the different layouts. So if I back out of here, okay, I'm out of my master slide. If I go, here is something that kind of like blew my mind. Control M makes a new slide. I know that that's like a tiny thing, but it will save you. So when I have a new fresh slide, I can go to layout and then I have all these options, and all those cascading ones you saw are these different layouts.
Okay.
So I've already set them up.
So what I was wondering is if you have, say, 5 in a row already done, and then that first one you're saying, all right, I want Roboto. And then you just go on to the rest of them. Are they already set up to be Roboto?
Yep. Okay. Because this one up here is our master.
Okay.
So when we set this up, here we've got Roboto, and then here we've got Open Sans. So the more we go down, the more that those are set up.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
And Meadow actually is the person that I learned, Meadow Sheldon. If you grab this line, you can copy this paint format, this paint roller, and apply it. If one of mine didn't match already, right here, and I can. It's sometimes tricky to grab. So you grab that with the paint roller and then apply it here, and it'll apply it. You don't have to go through all the steps. It's kind of awesome. Like, these are things that are very small, but save you a lot of time of like highlighting the text and changing the colors.
Right. Yeah. I was in a Google Doc yesterday. A teacher had their notes and certain blanks, and I wanted to go through and, each blank set up a different font and a different all that stuff. So just that little paintbrush, I can just quickly.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to say.
Yeah, it works in Docs too. So yeah, exactly.
Cool.
So that's the master slide. That's how you kind of customize your own slideshows. Same way we added fonts in Google Drive. I'm just going to drag this guy down here. Yeah, you can click and drag your slides around if you want to move them, if you decide they're not in the right order. So to add more fonts, I need a text box to open up that menu. And here's my fonts. And it's the same thing, add more fonts. It opens up this window and you can pick to your heart's content. You can, if there's something that you're looking for, if you're specifically looking for something that looks like handwriting, you can filter out that way. Insert images, that's huge. Like, your slides should be more graphic than text. So to add an image, we can go to Insert, Image. We have the option to upload them from our computer, from our drive. We can search the web. You can take one from your camera if you want. I'm gonna go to my Explore tool. My presentation theme is donuts, so I'm gonna go for images. I like this one. I'm gonna drop it in, and these are again all free for common use. They're all in the public domain, so I can drop this in. And once you've added an image, you can use the Explore tool, and it will give you new layouts. So that's kind of fun too, to see what they have. Google Slides is a pretty powerful image editor. So if I decided that I didn't want this picture to be square, I can go up here to crop image, and right beside it in that little caret, there's mask image, and I can choose a new shape for my picture. If I decided that I wanted it to be a heart, I can do that. I like to give things borders too. It's just a small touch, but I pick out my colors and then I give it a little border. So that's another way you can use that. That's how we crop our images down. If you have a Google Sheet, you can make a graph, put it in your Google slide, and link the two. So as your data changes, this graph will too. So I'm going to click on my link here and I'm going to open my data. So right now, this is what our chart looks like. Looks like these tests our kids didn't do so well. So I'm going to go into my data and I'm going to change some of my mid-ranges. I'm going to make this a 100. I'm going to make this a 90. This one a 90. You can see our data is changing here. This is the chart we made. And if I go back to my document, I have this option to update my chart. And if I do that, my data has changed. I don't have to do all the work of copying it and pasting it again. The two are linked and I can continue to make changes. If I wanted to insert a different chart, like a pie chart, the same thing will apply. I can edit my data, I can make a change here, and I don't have to do all the copying and pasting. The two are linked and they'll continue to change together. Insert audio. I think that that's huge. Slides are for our audience. So if we want to insert our audio, but I went and found some kind of spooky Halloween music last night and I downloaded it to my computer. It's something that you can't use from a link. You have to have the file to your drive first, and then you can find it and add it. So I'm going to go insert and audio. And this is all of the stuff that I have in my drive, all my audio. And I'm going to select that and it will appear here on my slide. And it opens up all these format options. So you have to decide if you want your music or your dictation to start when you start presenting the slide or when it's clicked. If you're narrating the slide, do you want it to play over and over again on a loop? Or do you want it to stop when they go on to the next slide? Applies more to music. If you put in some nice music, do you want it to continue throughout the presentation? Or do you want it to stop as they move on? You have a lot of things to play with. You can hide the icon while you're presenting if you don't want people to see it. We will leave it on click. But I don't really like that icon, so we can change that too. If you control click or right click on that icon, we can replace that image. And I'm going to replace it with something from my computer here. So I picked that guy. So now my little speaker has turned into a happy bunny. And now my audio icon is a dancing bunny. So when you click on the dancing bunny, it's going to play audio. Click the bunny for reading, click the bunny to hear Hope read the slide. And it's still going to play the audio. It's like a weird, can you hear it? It's like a weird alien sound. The BBC has free noises, and I think there's a bunch of stuff from Doctor Who, if that's what you're into. So you can change the icon, and you have a lot of different options for what kind of audio you use.
Yeah, get some Dalek talking in the background.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a distraction at all, right? Another really cool thing that Google Slides can do is you can use links to create sort of different sorts of projects. You can make links that bring you to other projects. You can make links that bring you back and forth throughout the slideshow. This is a project. Each planet is clickable and brings you to different slides with information about it. You can use them to create your own adventure, have a fork in the road, go left, you click that, it takes you to a new place, go right, click that, it takes you to a different place. So you can do a lot with links. So I think one of the coolest ways you can use Google Slides is to make a digital notebook. This will take you to an entire webinar on the power of a digital notebook. Slides Mania is a really awesome resource. This person puts out new slideshow templates I would say probably 3 a week. and they're all beautiful. They're free to use, they're really cool, and they're easy to use. They take a lot of the setup out of your hands and make it easier for you. I mean, like, look at this digital notebook. She really does some cool stuff. Some of the stuff that you can do with a digital notebook, you can give kids emojis to annotate with. They can use shapes to diagram with. They can link pages. They can add pages. There's no limit in slides to how many slides you have. So the notebook can grow as much as the kid does. I think it's a really cool opportunity to reflect at the end of the year, and they can be any subject. You can change the orientation of your slideshow. If the kid is using an iPad, you can make it fit the iPad. These are some other really cool ways to use Google Slides. This guy has made like a kind of like a Mr. Potato Head idea. So he has the pumpkin, and then you move the images on top. And the educational application is that the kid then has to describe their pumpkin and what character they made. You can do some really great graphics with slides. You can make a digital newsletter in here instead of using Docs if you wanted more graphics. You can make choice boards. Those are really cool. This woman, Esther Park, she has another website with really beautiful templates. And a lot of hers are gamified. I love the idea of using GIFs for feedback. I made a rubric with different like expressions from Dolly Parton. Meets, exceeds, like the bigger the hair, the bigger the expression. It could be a really cool visual way to show your kids what a good job they're doing. But these are all free and easy to build on and customize. And a lot of them look really fun. Control Alt Archive is one of my favorite resources. He has a pretty massive list of templates, and these are all people who make them. They're free. Pretty much any theme, any project that you're doing, somebody has made something that you can adapt and, save yourself some time. All right. Have a great day, you guys. Thank you so much.